did Joshua do with the ball game?
Y'all, thank y'all for joining us for another episode of True Talk.
Call it Josh Trader House.
I've been drinking whiskey tonight. Lost my job, can't pay the light. In the morning I'll be alright. 'Cause I've been drinking whiskey all night. I said,
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of True Tall Tales and Whiskey. Tonight we got Big Joe Walker from Balch Springs out here. He's been friends with my dumbass co-host for a while.
Balch Springs.
Clarify.
He told me to say Balch Springs. I didn't know what town to say. Y'all talked about a whole bunch of different ones.
Balch.
Balch Springs. How the fuck you say it? Anyway.
Box Springs,
I
like
didn't
where you
fucking-
hide the drug money.
But he's got a new album coming out called Countryversal.
Controversial, yeah, man.
And we're going to talk some shit, talk some past things about the reasons he's regretted being friends with Josh for a lot of his life and see what's going on. So let's talk about this new album you got coming out.
Before we do that, let's just get this out the way.
We're just going to go ahead and go
We've been
for it.
getting drunk way before this happened, and he nailed it. That was a very professional intro.
You're the
Thank
first
you.
person to ever say that to
I
me.
appreciate it
Thank you.
because we've been drinking. It was real Tom. What is his name? Tom Cronkite. No, Walter Cronkite, right?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Well, Walter Cronkite, you did a great job.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Joe, before you go any further, like I know you're excited. That is not Morgan Wallen. No, that is really not Morgan Wallen. I know you were excited. Like you were like,
We
like, that's the guy that sings Last Night, but it's not. So you can just cut him loose.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for having me, fellas.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
So you know this dumbass right here?
Listen,
They just
me
beat me
and
up.
this guy. Let me tell you something, and I'll just get right into it since we're all family now.
We'll talk about the album in a little bit.
Joe,
Yeah.
have I always been crazy?
Yeah. We grew up together, and we were talking earlier. We had aspirations to be Dallas Cowboy football players, and that didn't work out for us. But I tell you what, I almost died because of this guy. We were, I think we were in 5th grade, and we went to, my dad took us to the fair. You know, in Texas, we all get free fair tickets. Dad took us to the state fair and dropped me and Josh off, which was a big deal for 5th graders, and said, hey,
No shit.
meet me back here at 1 o'clock.
You say that, but we like walked ourselves to school and walked ourselves
Yeah.
home. It
Yeah.
wasn't like
Times was different.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
different back then. But my dad told us to meet us back there at 1 o'clock. He was pretty generous, gave us like 3 hours to be by ourselves and go ride rides, play games, whatever. Well, Josh and I had a secret plan of meeting up with these girls. So we succeeded in that plan and went into the Cotton Bowl Stadium and spent those 3 hours with those girls making out and having a good time. Well, I know my dad. Josh and I kind of come from 2 different households.
there was no dad in mine.
Josh could go. Josh could go do a lot of
Hey,
things.
this is role reversals right now. Like I was the guy.
He could
Plot
do a
twist.
lot more things
Hey.
than I could. So when my old man said 1 o'clock, I knew 12:50. You know, I better be back. Well, I'm ready to go.
It was different
But-
for Josh. It took like 4 days for a letter to get home from my dad.
So Josh said, hey, man, let's just stay a little bit longer. You know, he's hanging out there. We're all having a good time, and I'm okay with staying a little longer, you know. Well, I look up, and we're kicking it, and Josh keeps saying, we'll stay just a little bit longer. And I'm like, yeah, we'll stay a little bit longer. This is when I first realized that women will kill your life along with a best friend.
Hey, you're
But
getting,
here's the
you're
deal.
getting a little controversial.
Here's the deal. I'm not lying. I was a great wingman because I knew that I was going to have a death sentence when I got back. Josh and I didn't meet my dad back until 5 o'clock, 4 hours later when we were supposed. Mind you, we're in 5th grade.
My God.
So they're calling the police and family, and people are looking for us. The staff is looking for us. Like, it's a big deal. Josh and I walk back. I know I'm in
Smiling,
trouble, but
smiling.
we just hung
Okay.
out with two girls, and we're walking back because we're cool as hell now. You know what I'm saying? And get back, and I didn't really comprehend how late 4 hours is when your dad lets, probably
You're in
not just
fifth
for
grade.
me, but
Supposed to
knowing
have
that he
3
had
hours.
someone else's kid and was gone for that long. Well, my dad was hot, and we were driving back in the truck, and even Josh understood the significance of the situation because that sumbitch looked at me and said, "I'm so sorry," because he knew what was about to happen to me.
See, that's why you don't drop your kids off at the fair. For
No,
3 hours.
you don't do it.
Especially with this guy over here.
You don't do it.
Bad influence, Josh.
Ruined it for
First-
everyone.
Well, now that I got older, I used to tell my dad that was your fault. It's pretty stupid letting fifth grade run around the fair.
So let me tell y'all about young Joe Walker, right? So you know how there's some people that just know what they're supposed to do in life? Like, Joe Walker was that guy. Like, don't get me wrong. For me, I thought I was going to be a Dallas Cowboy. I never realized that I never would have had the height. But Joe always knew he was going to sing. So, like, when we were younger, Joe had really strict parents, right? But me and Joe were, like, tight, like, literally best friends. So we'd go back to Quail Creek Apartments in Box Springs.
Yeah.
Joe wasn't allowed outside, like, till his parents came home and stuff. Towards me, my mom was at work all the time.
No, I was
kinda,
wait.
like,
I was
raised
allowed
myself.
outside, but I had to clean up.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if you ever lived with a black woman, but black women cleaning is way different than anybody's cleaning in the world. Like,
So for a
cleaning was it. I wouldn't finish because I used to have to tell you, if y'all want me to come outside, y'all come help me clean this place up.
And I did. I was that friend in there. But so, like, you know, when you open the door, there's that little, like, metal threshold at the bottom, right? So Joe wasn't allowed outside, and he wasn't allowed to have anybody in his house. So me and Joe would just sit at the door, and I would sit outside that threshold, and he would sit inside, and he would just crack the door. So we would just hang out for hours like that. Like, that's literally how close we were.
Yeah.
And Joe would sing. And Joe, he was very musically talented from an early age. But I don't know if he was tone deaf or what, but he, for some reason, thought that I could sing. And we were going to be in a boy band.
First of all, I had the vision of boy bands before NSYNC and before Backstreet. I knew there was a market for it.
But you was friends with Josh.
Yeah, well, I had to get, because I had Chris. He
Yeah.
could sing.
So Chris, his drummer, another.
But Josh
dude
was the
thought-
pretty boy. You know, you always got to have a pretty boy in the group. You know?
says I was
With like the
pretty.
spiky hair.
Yeah,
like
he had the
98
spiky.
degrees, like,
Yeah, Josh used to have this haircut that used to go up like this. You remember that?
I ain't even had no teeth though. Like, I was snaggletooth when I was a kid, and he's trying to put me in a boy band. Like,
Hey, what
I'm
name-
on there. Is it my turn?
You were the only
Like,
frosted
it did
tip
not work.
kid.
Hey,
that
that's
he knew.
because that's when we all got starter jackets for Christmas. I was like, hey, dog, hey.
Oh, that Dallas dude. I had that Duke starter.
Yeah,
I thought I was
yeah,
doing
dog,
it.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
doing it.
I had that Cowboys one.
Hell
Couldn't
yeah.
tell me nothing, man.
what name did y'all have picked out for your boy band?
We didn't have a name. I just knew the vision, you know.
That's when Joe used to convince me, man, I wrote this song, Josh, and then like I'd hear it on the radio, and I'm like, you doing big things, Joe. We in first grade.
First grade. Were you
Jo-
little Joe Walker back then?
No,
Or were you
I was
always Big Joe?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
always big.
You know, that kid is always in the back of panoramic school pictures. That was me.
He was in that cowboy starter jacket looking just like Emmett Smith, third grade. Like,
Yeah,
were you
I was always in the back there.
So you were like one of them 15-pound babies?
Yeah, I was a pretty, like, as long as I can remember, I was always like the big kid in class, or, you know, the tall one, or most handsome, you know, like,
Just throw that in there.
yeah, all them things, man.
until I learned how to fight, nobody messed with me because I was always with Joe.
He's your bodyguard.
Yeah.
We used to get in a lot of fights, dude, going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to think I was going to be the celebrity and he was going to be security, and then it changed on us.
See,
Wait, you're
Robin
security?
did.
No, he felt secure with me. That was it.
So y'all grew up in Mesquite. Where'd you go to school?
I went to high school at West Mesquite. Boo! The best Mesquite. We all know it. Josh cried when he found out he had to go to North.
I did. I don't know.
He cries a lot.
Yeah, they was gonna make him soft over there at North.
They moved me from the hood. Dog. I went from wearing solid T-shirts with all the homies and Dickies to they had Tommy Hilfiger everything over there. I was intimidated. I was in that bizarre shit. Like it didn't work.
Brune Bazaar, Big
Yeah.
T Bazaar. Yeah, man.
We rocked it in the ghetto. We really came from the hood. Like I had to bring my black friend to confirm that.
He's got two of them now.
I brought my black friend because they know each other.
Yeah,
too.
he's got
Crazy.
two of them. I'm proud of him.
To him. Hey, Chris is my friend. Probably my favorite.
Man, we should have told Chris to come. We should have had Chris
should've.
come.
Hell yeah.
So Chris is his drummer, and they put on a hell of a show, full band. So
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
anytime you get a chance, go out there. We got Joe on the keys, first person in the whiskey locker on the
Yup.
keys.
I tell you what.
Bells and whiskey.
I don't know if y'all get a full view of this place, but it's pretty amazing. I appreciate it. And I'm not gonna lie to you. You see, I'm sweating a little bit. That JMO's been flowing real
Shit,
nice.
we still got the AC off too.
Nah, it's perfect. That's just the
It ain't our fault you brought the heat.
matter of fact, Jameson, if y'all are listening, this place could use a nice sponsorship from you.
Hey,
We
hell yeah,
agree.
there we go.
So
We didn't say
get-
it. He said it. You know.
We said it.
Yeah. We've been drinking your product, so you might as well.
we had quite a bit of that in here.
Shout us out.
But all right, so back to Controversial. Since we got off track, thanks to Josh and y'all getting along, all that shit. Tell us about the album real quick.
Controversial is an album. I named it Controversial just because this album is going to have a lot of like different influences as far as R&B, rock, and most of my albums have those different influences. But I wanted this album. Typically, as an artist, you're always trying to. There's a very fine line of being an artist for yourself and then being a commercial artist, right? And they kind of both, the lucky ones get to be themselves and the commercial artist at the same time. And so there's a lot of times as an artist where you're saying, and most songwriters don't tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth here at Truth, Tall Tales, and Whiskey.
It's part of it.
The deal is most artists have a hard time trying to understand who they are as an artist because the industry changes so much, right? And people's taste buds change so much to where, you tend to chase the trending things that are going on, subconsciously or consciously. There's not a lot of artists that's trying to do it full time that says, hey, this is the style of music that I make. I'm not going to change from that point. That's just where I'm at. Now, there's some artists that are like that. I'm not like that simply because, not because I chase trends, but more so because I love all different types of music. I love all different genres of music. So when I write a song, it might be a honky-tonk record, or it might be a jazz type record. It might be an R&B feel record. So in that sense, what has happened a lot of times in my career, people will hear my music and say, I don't think that's country, or I don't know if this is going to work in my venue, or, all those type of things. And so in turn, the business side of you says, okay, I'm going to make a record. I'll never forget, my band and I were competing in the Shinerbach Battle of the Bands, and we won the competition, but one of the critiques one of the judges said was, y'all sound really good, but it's a little too polished. It's a little too, it needs a little bit more mistakes in it for it to be Texas country. And I remember I was so offended when I heard that because, motherfucker, you mad at me because we're fucking good musicians? Because
we're too good.
That's what you telling me?
But hey, at the same time,
You didn't miss enough notes. You weren't singing flat enough for me.
But listen, opinion wise or not, at the same time, that guy was right because y'all are a very polished band.
Well, I appreciate it. And part of it is, like I was saying earlier, my band, and I've been really, really blessed to have my guys with me for 10 years. And that doesn't happen a lot in this business. And that's not because of me or who I am, that's really a testament to those guys. I mean, they're great musicians, and I always try to create an environment to where they feel that they are contributing in a musical sense. And I'm a firm believer as a front man, I don't bring in anybody that's not better than me as a musician, because my guys know that they can tell me, hey, man, you sung that horribly, or that's the wrong note, and they know I don't take that personally, because I'm not married to my feelings. I'm married to the success of the song and success of the performance. So going back is saying, so a lot of times as artists, we try to say, it's kind of like Coetzel blew up. Everyone's kind of this bad boy type, edge type. It just happens. It's just Pat Green was a big deal. Everybody was kind of a Pat Greenish type feel. Things like that just kind of keep, that's just what the business kind of does. And then the markets, and if you're a business person, it's a very fine line being an artist and a businessman, right? Like, if I like purple snow cones, but the whole world wants red, and I sell snow cones, well, guess which snow cones I'm going to try to sell? Or red snow cones.
Yeah.
So it's a really tough line as an artist to say, hey, I'm going to make a record for me, and this is the first time I've said, my record's going to be controversial, meaning I don't give a shit. If you don't like this record, there might be a record that you love, and you're going to say, man, I wish he would make more of those records. So it's the idea of making music now, and I think this comes with maturity in artistry as well, is that you start to realize really quick that all of this stuff intertwines. We were talking about how, guys are going more rock, dealing with a lot of rock artists, or you listen to Morgan Wallen, he's not playing country music, he's playing R&B pop.
Man, you ain't got to bring more.
No, I'm just saying. And
I don't even listen. To that.
No, I'm
right,
not.
You're right, though.
I'm not hating on Morgan Wallen. I'm just saying.
I got you.
But then it's just kind of the same. And this is what the industry does. Everybody's pissed at Beyonce. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, but your favorite Morgan Wallen, the number one guy out of Nashville, is playing R&B. So it really. So then you start to realize that fans don't give a shit what it is. They're either going to like it or they not. And when you stop playing that game, and that's probably my greatest regret in my career, is that I've tried to play what the fans would consume instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to make good records. I'm going to make solid records that every single record I'm going to be proud of. And if the fans don't like it, they ain't fans. Like I tell people all the time, I love Stevie Wonder to death. But if I go to a Stevie Wonder concert, he's my favorite artist of all time. If I go to a Stevie Wonder concert, I don't want to hear his new album that he just released.
Right.
Play me the fucking hits, Stevie. That's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I'll listen to your new album on my time when I'm driving.
Living for the city right now.
You play it right now, Stevie. With all due respect, please, sir.
Right.
But like, and so that's the thing. So you start to realize that be a fan of your music first. And I think that's what Countryversal is all about. Like a lot of artists at line saying I wanted to make something for my fans, or no, I wanted to make a record that Big Joe's like, man, every fucking record on here is a record that I swear my life by.
Well, people can hear that, I think. I think when it's authentic, people aren't dumb.
They're not.
They can pick up on when you're being truthful and when you're singing about what you what you mean for real.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's kind of like rap music. I love hip hop, right? I grew up on hip hop. Well, I expect my rappers to have a certain, like a record. Like, I expect if you're going to talk about being a drug dealer, be a drug dealer.
Right, right.
I don't want a guy that, came from two-family home, wearing his khakis and going to work every single day. Like, all of a sudden you're a trap star.
Like Future?
Yeah, like, I don't want to hear that.
Like,
you
don't ever research your favorite rapper. Don't ever look into
there's a part of me that wants to believe when that rapper said I had 2 bricks and broke it down and evaded the police and then got home safe and then woke up and did it the same night, that really happened. Of course, I want to believe that you have 10 Lamborghini Murcielagos. No, but I think you're right. Fans want authenticity. See, I'm drunk. I can't even say that.
It's the only thing that's gonna keep. It's gonna keep
that's that
AI
Floyd
at bay.
Elementary.
Yeah, that's that Floyd up image. Yeah.
So
No, but I mean,
Jameson.
when AI, you get all these people talking about AI is kind of taking over, but it can't take over somebody who's authentic. You know what I mean?
Right.
People are gonna. That's the thing to me that I think will save music is people that are authentic in the story behind those records and why they love that music.
Right. Well, I think that goes back to just saying what controversial is. Like, it's going against all principles of the music business, and it goes to a point of saying, hey, these are records that I love, and it's me offering the fan base, these are songs that I love. No different than me saying, hey, check out this artist. Check out Michael Summers and 30 Miles East. Check them out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no different than me suggesting an artist. And that's what I'm doing in this controversial record is saying, hey, these are songs that, they might not be radio hits, or they might not be what's trending right now, or they might not be what's the popular sound or tone that radio's consuming right now. But these are songs that I believe that you need to hear.
Oh, yeah, I respect the shit out of that.
So I'm absolutely fascinated right now. You grew up with Josh in the hood, right? You
Yeah.
told me about your influence in like hip hop.
Yeah.
I just watched you play a fucking phenomenal song about everybody wants to be a cowboy until it's time to do cowboy shit.
That's it.
And I know, now that I know a little bit about you, you love ranching. You
Yeah.
love being a cowboy.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about how the hell that happened? Because that's
Well,
cool as shit. That
Mark,
sounds-
We grew up in the hood.
What-
Like,
Martin,
that's
Martin, you signaled to me, and that's the exact thing I was about to ask.
That-
you.
that
Well,
is- that-
you got to
like,
understand, my
we
family,
grew up in the hood, though.
my parents all grew up in the country on farms. So, but this was back my parents were born in the 40s. They had me at a very late age. So you got to understand, farming and ranching wasn't cool work back then, right? Like, it was real work. Now it's romantic. You get a tractor. I can handle 50 acres by myself, and really handle it and manage it well by myself. Back then, that took a family effort to take care of that much land, an extended family effort of hard work. So the first thing my parents wanted to do when they graduated high school was what? Come to the big city of Dallas.
Yeah, get the hell out of that.
And remember, this is the 40s. These are black people in the 40s in country towns. Wasn't the most welcoming area to grow and to grow a family. And so, a lot of them, it's kind of like they talk about the 60s and the 50s, the Great Migration, when a lot of black people from the South moved up to the North, and that's how Motown started. All those guys came from the South and went up that way for more opportunities. And the same thing with my family. So the country element in my family was, always there, either going back to, visit like
Will's Point.
Yeah, going back to the country, shoot, Rockwall, Greenville, like this is before Rockwall was even. Rockwall, I remember growing up, Rockwall didn't even have a middle class. It was either you had money or you didn't. And black people stayed in the area in Rockwall called the Flats. I don't even know if y'all remember that over there by that Sonic back there. That's called the Flats back there. And so, but back then, going all the way back, obviously was all farmland and just kind of that's where my family was from. So like, you think about everything that we did as a family always involved us. We didn't have money for vacation, so our thing was we go back and we work our grandparents' land and work all that stuff, and that's just what I enjoyed. And it's always had a piece of me, partly because a lot of people don't realize it's funny how a lot of people, when you look at Josiah, he's here. That's my boy Josiah. Mm-hmm. When you look at black people have a strong tradition in being ranchers and cattlemen, because even the word cowboy was originated to black people, to black men, because they didn't call black men back then. They called black men what? Boys. And so they worked the cattle, and that's where the name cowboy comes from. So a lot of people don't understand there's a huge history and a huge there's a huge place in Americana history as far as just a country living, black cowboys. I mean, we talked about the Mesquite Rodeo, which I hear y'all doing some pretty cool things with that. So excited about that for y'all.
Yes, sir.
But, there's a huge black rodeo that happens at Mesquite Rodeo every single year. And, I mean, it's some astonishing cowboys and cattlemen there. So, like, I'm just a small little piece of that history that I'm so proud of and that I want to continue. And so I was real blessed and fortunate to grow up. And I always tell people I'm hood and country, and so I've had a perspective on what it's like in two different things. And I realized in life, excuse me if I'm preaching a little bit.
No.
But I realize in life this, everybody in this world, black, white, city folk, country folks, we all want the same thing. The number one thing is to be able to take care of our families. And number two is be left the hell alone. That's what everybody wants. I promise you, I don't give a damn where you come from.
Yeah.
This world will try to tell you that everybody's different. This world will try to tell you that, this person's this way. Yeah, everybody has different ways of doing shit. Some people kick the ball with their right foot. Some people kick the ball with their left, right? But at the end of the day, everybody in this world only wants those two things: be able to take care and provide for their families and be left the hell alone. And so, in turn, like, and I don't mean to get preachy over here at True Tall Tales and Whiskey, but when you call Big
Good
Joe,
on that.
he
We
gonna
do-
keep it
good
real.
on
We do
that.
this shit.
We're
some
loving
episodes.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So not to go off too much of a tangent, which I always do, but that's the story for me is I was really blessed. Not a lot of people get to see both sides of those worlds, and that world is truly a part of my history, my family's history, my lineage, and I'm just happy to hold on to it.
And bringing your history and your preaching into the mix, how big did the church play into your sound even today when you're singing country music?
Oh, I mean, it's huge. Listen, I ain't no saint, but I know who keeps me. And but the deal is, bless my mother heart, like Mama Walker, she had me at church 8 days a week. Like, this new style of church is easy. You can look at it online, I went to an old school church where you was in church for like 12 hours on Sunday,
8 days a week,
8 days a
25
week.
hours a day.
Yeah, like it was. But I tell you what, I'm so glad and grateful for that foundation. But when it comes to music, like I can 100% say church is where my music comes from. Like, because when you're a kid, the last thing you want to do is sit and listen to a man preach all day. Like, I did not like going to church. Like, like most kids probably really don't care to go to church. Now churches, they cater to kids a lot. They have kids school. I come from the age, you sit down and you lucky if you get a butterscotch and a peppermint during the service. You know what I'm saying? Like, so my only entertainment while I was at church was watching the church musicians play. And that's all I did. So my mom didn't let me sit in the back. So, because she was in the choir, so she could be able to, do that beatbox things that moms do, get over here, sit down, that kind of stuff. So I had to sit up front. So I would literally just stare at the piano player and stare at the musicians. And I mean, they probably thought I was a weird kid because I literally would just stare and watch their fingers and watch them play and see how they started songs and ended songs. And I didn't even know I was learning. I really didn't. It was more of I just enjoyed it. And so then when you start getting into situations like you start getting into middle school, high school, like I didn't realize I was pretty advanced because I was getting trained. And I don't care what anybody tells you, gospel musicians are the best musicians in the world. Everything that you hear from now on in radio all probably came from gospel licks. It's just what it is.
100%.
Yeah, like it's just, and every guy that's probably the top guys that are out there, like one of my favorite players, a guy named Corey Henry. He's an organist, piano player. He's absolutely insane. Like then you have some guys like that are just like your modern day Mozarts, like a guy named Jacob Collier from England. But I didn't realize I was literally sitting in on master classes, and I wish that I was more, Chris and I, my drummer,
That's my dude.
yeah, like, he and I went to the same church. And so Chris got to play drums before they would let me get up and play piano. Like, because Chris could sit there and they let him get on the drums and kind of play drums. Well, piano's a little bit different, right? You really have to kind of start learning but I just didn't realize how I'm so grateful for that, to be able to, and just talking about it now, I really didn't realize that it was an amazing experience just to be able to watch those musicians play. And those things that I learned at such a young age are the things that translate now. Like, obviously you become a better musician with practice, but the foundation of it for sure came from there.
Man, that's the truth about, people who have a background in gospel music. Absolute killers,
Dude,
man.
they're insane.
And a lot of times they're complaining about how they have to dial it back because
Yeah.
they're at church.
Yeah.
What can you do when you're not at
Dude,
church, bro? Like, even
There, I tell people all the time, like, and there's great musicians across the world. You will not find more masters of their instruments than gospel players that are masters and creatives at the same time, right? Like, than a gospel player and bluegrass musicians. Those two in that area are, like, to me, and this is my opinion, some people might, blah, 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 whatever. That's fine. But gospel players and bluegrass musicianship is really close to gospel music as well.
for sure.
Like, they both are married type of forms.
for sure.
And, it's just kind of like, remember when bluegrass really jumped off with the, what was Oh Brother Where Art Thou, right? That entire album. Everyone went crazy over bluegrass. Nobody even really knew that they loved bluegrass music until
So Man of Constant Sorrows.
yeah.
And, like, who brought back, like, bluegrass for the younger generation is, like, Billy Strings, man.
Oh, what?
I want to shout out somebody real quick.
Man.
My boy
Billy
Braden
Strings.
Stewart. My boy Braden Stewart.
Oh, he does Dust in the Baggie?
Dude, he is he is just a big lover of bluegrass music, and I know why, because he is a high level musician.
Absolutely.
We have our
Absolutely.
talks, man, and I don't necessarily dig bluegrass that much, but I know good music when I hear it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with gospel, man. Like, you can't deny.
What's the guy, though? I will say, what's that guy from? And he's from, I want to say he's from, he's from, is it Sweden, or he's a drummer? What's the dude's name? He has a beard. He's probably the most badass drummer I've ever seen. And even, like, the baddest of drummers are like, I don't know how he does it. He's a big TikTok famous guy.
He does the shit with one hand all the time.
Yeah, he has a long beard.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know who that guy is,
I
but
can't remember
he's
his
a
name
metal
right now.
guy.
Yeah.
And I will say that guy is the baddest drummer I've ever seen in my life. Like, man, what is that guy's name? He's great.
Yeah, I can't remember it right now.
But yeah, I mean, but that's what it's about, right? Like, and I think it's so cool that we could throw so many different types of musicians from so many genres.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I get so, and that goes back to Countryversal. Everyone's so worked up in a sense of the genre of music, when really real musicians, at least for me, and we're all some forms of musician, including Josh. He's a great singer, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know yet. But they will one day.
He's the background.
Yeah, we're gonna make it right. We're gonna make it
Mixtape
right.
dropping soon.
Yeah, y'all catch it. But I think that the true definition of musicians is that we all have an appreciation for musicianship, right? It doesn't have to be the type of music that you like. Like, honestly, I don't know a lot of heavy metal music, right? It's not in my repertoire. But I do know when I hear a record that's dope, and I'm like, God dang. Like,
What isn't it?
like, I'm not, what, I don't know if so excuse me, metalheads, if I call it, is it called screamo, or what is it?
There's a few different.
There's
songs.
there's so many genres. There's
Well,
it's
just like
Hold
here's
on,
the
let's
deal.
pass this to our resident metalheads.
Like yeah, but like
And
if it's metal, like there's a record that I heard. I remember being in college and hearing, and one of my teammates was playing a record before the game, and it got me so hype. And I never was a metal guy, and I don't even know if you call it metal, but it was that everybody's going to the party, have a good time. Man, and I mean, like, I became a huge, like, I was just turn that up, dog, turn that up, you know. Normally I'm listening to pop, you know.
Right.
But like, but I think, yeah, but I really think that the musicianship is what draws, you know, musicians, and not just musicians, but fans that truly appreciate music. I appreciate anybody that can do anything at a high level, because I think we all strive. Everyone in this world wish there was one thing that they could do at a very high level, or that they're working to try to do at a very high level. And I have such an appreciation for that with, you know, anybody doing anything, you know.
Man, I feel like that's a very important point, Joe. I mean, all artists that are on the come up, man, I mean, it's something about when you come into your maturity as a musician, it really doesn't matter what genre they're doing.
Right.
You know, musicianship is musicianship, and you learn to appreciate different things. So that kind of brings me to what I wanted to talk about on this podcast today. When you record in the studio, because man, I want to say, when you came in here and recorded your songs tonight, you were one take Joe.
Oh man,
you know what
appreciate
I mean?
it, man.
It was great. No, man, it was an experience. It was really good. So, me and Josh kind of talked before the episode, and he wanted me to ask you, you know, what is your take? So a lot of musicians, when they go in the studio, they want to bring their band on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not be, you know, studio situation is a lot different than being on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your perspective on, if you go in the studio, let's say to track an EP, would you bring your band with you, or would you go more, you know, would you go more studio musician route, and what are those situations like for Joe?
That's actually a really good question. I'll answer it this way. When I always prefer studio musicians, not because my band can't play the record, right?
Right.
Each one of my guys in my band are incredible. There's a difference between being able to play a record and being talented enough to play that record, and then there's also a difference of a creative sense of going in.
Yes.
Typically what happens, and this is just not necessarily my band, but I've tried to avoid this, is that when you go into making a record, the last thing that you want to think about is repercussions of someone being upset because you didn't take their idea, or someone feeling a certain way. Now, my band's not like that. My guys aren't that sensitive, but there is a sense of, if we've always been really good with my band, we've always been really good at being able to talk things and work things out and get something that we're like, hey, we're happy with that.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that likes to be surprised, meaning there's studio musicians and then there's live show musicians.
Sure.
Prime example, when I record a record, one of the first people I call to record a record, if I'm producing a record or if I'm making a record by myself, is a man named Milo Deering. Milo Deering is about 70 years old, and he is probably the most prolific string player that I have access to. He plays for the Eagles, right?
Wow.
He plays dobro, steel guitar, fiddle, guitar. Every record that you've heard that's coming out of Texas and even Nashville probably had Milo Deering on. So the thing about a Milo Deering is he's a genius. And I don't use that word lightly when it comes to music, right? The thing about Milo has the type of sense that can say he's going to be, remember I talked about being able to play the parts and being able to create the parts. It's two different things. Milo is a creator, and he's not proficient. He excels in it, is absolute 100% professional at acoustic guitar, fiddle, mandolin, dobro, steel guitar. So just on a business side, you're going to hire Milo Deeren anyway. Because number one, I want the best players on the record that's the best creative players. Now, there's certain records that my band and I sit in and we'll try to produce a record. Like we were just in the studio and we did one song and I'm not happy with it. And it's not because my band didn't play great on it or I didn't play good on it. It's just, it just wasn't a record that you hear and you're like, yeah, that's it. And the thing about it is, one thing that I've learned in this music business is, like, you get to a point to where, I'll never forget this. I was in Nashville and I was pitching to some publishing houses, and a lady comes in, I'm playing records, and from a big publishing company, she listens to some of the records, and she stares me straight in the eyes. She said, Joe, you're not writing enough. You're too married to your records. I can tell you're not writing enough. Right? Because at one point in time in my career, I was that guy, I have to write when I'm inspired. Like something has to happen. I have to feel a certain way, you know? And that's in the business that you do, you know, when you go to Nashville, you write twice a day. You got a morning write, you got an afternoon write.
Yeah.
Every record that you've heard ain't come from guys that are just, oh man, they were going through something and they wrote that heartbreak song for you that you, it's people that are writing religiously every single day and they turning it out, and it's a science to it, right?
They got a formula.
It's a formula and a science to it.
Yeah.
And every once in a while you'll get songwriters like a Jason Isbell that just can write your life story, but he still has a formula to it, right?
For sure.
So, but I remember thinking to myself, like, man, like, I am married to those songs. And so just because your band goes in and records a song that's great, but when you know in your heart of hearts that, man, it could be way better. Like, you got to admit that.
Yeah.
It could be way better. And
yes.
And way better is not saying, oh, it's going to be better because I'm going out and getting better musicians. My guys are top tier musicians, 100%.
Right.
Sometimes the dynamic of your bandship doesn't allow the record to go to where it needs to go just because, well, one guy's saying it needs to go here. Another guy says it needs to go here. One guy has here, versus when you got professional guys that go in, those guys go into a producer and the producer's saying, hey, I want this. And because that's what they do, they have a catalog of which they can pull in. Milo Deeren has a catalog of over 60 years of playing professionally that he can go pull that lick from, or he could go get that certain tone that he was fooling around with in the 70s that nobody is using right now and blow your mind. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of that way.
Yeah.
Man, those are all good points.
Yeah.
Man,
we talked some history, talked some shit, talked about some good music stuff, man. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming in tonight. It was good.
Appreciate y'all having me, man. I hope I ain't blow your ear off.
Yeah, it's all good. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode of True Tall Tales and Whiskey.
Budget motel. Until then, we're just making do. I lost my job, your dream house and garden, living on a promise that I'll make it up to you when there's supper on the table. May take a look easy. The radio keeps playing the most Stevie Wonder tunes, If your house is where your heart is, then I know where I'm staying. 'Cause I can't wait to be coming home to you, baby. I can't wait to be coming home to you. You hide your tears, baby, I know you've been crying. You told your mama you want until I can too. You make this room, see, I don't know how you did it, but you turned it into a mansion. And oh, I can't wait to be coming home to you when there's supper on the table. Oh, I know sometimes it ain't easy. The radio keeps playing the Mobile Withers tunes. If your house is where your heart is, I know where I'm staying. 'Cause I can't wait to be coming home to you, baby. I can't wait to be coming home to you. Oh, home. You make it home, baby, home. You make it home. Oh, girl, you make it home. Oh, girl, you make it home when there's supper on the table. Oh, thank God it gets a little easy. The radio keeps playing all them old George Strait tunes. If your heart is where your house is, then I know where I'm staying. 'Cause I can't wait to be coming home to you, baby. I can't wait, no, to be coming home to you.